Hmm. Alright, I think we are good. I think we're live. Alright, hello everyone and welcome. I hope you all can hear me clearly. If you guys cannot, let me know please in the chat and I shall hopefully fix that and remedy that. Okay, so it is a new week, meaning it is a new week of Marvel Snap. Uh, and a lot has happened between last week and this week. Um, especially in terms of the game. So the main thing that happened with Marvel Snap was the change in publisher for the development team. So if you guys didn't know, the original publisher for the Marvel Snap was Newverse, which basically it ran a bunch of other um, big mobile apps, such as the big one, TikTok. And when TikTok got shut down, Marvel got shut down, and um, it was just kind of a disastrous time for Second Dinner, the creators and the developers of Marvel Snap. So after that whole fiasco happened, Second Dinner essentially went on to cut their publishing ties with Newverse, and now they are now being self-published by themselves, and so major changes were made with how they run things over there. For us, it's almost the same. It's just they say on Discord that they're going to be working on things behind the scenes and whatnot to to make Snap even better and more snappier, for lack of a better word. Um, for the benefit of the player that they probably weren't able to do under Newverse. So we'll have to see. But in addition to that, because of that new publisher thing, um, they set up a new web shop, and what they did was, as they set up the new web shop, um, what they essentially did is, you know, in celebration of the new web shop, they gave out a code for anyone to use to put into like their web shop, and then when you put it in, the code will go and give you a mystery variant and a mystery border, and that was sent to your inbox as like a free gift for like, hey, thanks for hanging out with us or whatever like that. And so I went ahead and did that. So I have no idea what. Uh, as you can see, my collection thing, little diamond here, and that's that variant, and I have no idea what it is. I have not looked at it, so we're gonna be taking a look at that alongside other variants, as in these two variants. I'm gonna open those up along with you guys, and then I'm gonna fill out these quests, and then what else? What else? What else? What else? Oh, yeah, there was also Conquest, the variant I wanted to open up with you guys. So that's four variants for us to find out, at the very least. So that'll be fun. But anyway, um, so this week's new card is the Ancient One, and I'll be real with you, I'm not particularly interested in her. Granted, I don't think she's terrible. She does look interesting. I've seen a few games of her with a C5 and other ongoing stuff, but to me, like she seems like she has an awkward curve. Yeah, just super really odd. It's just odd to fit in like into a deck, maybe, because being at 3 costs, is she's not. I I think there are a lot of 3 cost cards that you want to put down for Ancient One, or maybe like you want to set up other things like I don't know, especially with in a Cerebro shell. It seems maybe a bit tough if you don't get like if you don't draw Ancient One by turn 4 or 5. Seems she's weird because you have to play other cards for the Cerebro stuff, right? So it's like, she's not bad by any means for what I've seen, but she just doesn't really seem like my kind of gameplay. But yeah, in addition to all that, Series 4 had the addition of Helion and Mercury to the pool, and it was by complete accident, and that was an interesting little thing to happen to the Marvel Snap dev team. Like, if you didn't update your game on last Tuesday, you got Hellion and Mercury in your shop. If you did, you got Jennifer Kale and Nicholas Scratch. So, that just led to people having access to like two cards that you couldn't play, Hellion and Mercury. And then if they just didn't update it, they couldn't get to Jennifer Kale or Nicholas Scratch, and that was just that was just weird, right? So essentially, what Second Dinner did is that they made all of them available. So they just said, screw it, let's just go ahead and make all of them available. So that was an interesting little thing happening last week. And lastly, if you'll notice, I made it to infinite rank between the time of last week and today. Uh, so I normally would have played for infinite today. Um, just make it a relatively interesting stream that way. But in the midst of climbing, I was um I was kind of on a hot streak, and just knowing how to snap, knowing how to retreat, thinking everything through, all that kind of stuff, and then that just gave me a pretty consistent win rate. Not a perfect one, obviously, but very consistent, and that led me to very high 90s by Friday. And I was like, if I can make it to infinite before Tuesday, I'll go ahead and do it. And lo and behold, I did. So yeah, which I'll be frank, I think might have saved my sanity because to be frank, the meta right now is kind of crazy. There's a lot of Cannonball Mercury going on, or if you want to be technical, Mercury Cannonball. So, if you guys don't know, somehow Mercury prevents you, an opponent's Mercury will prevent you from having your cards moved out of a location. Cannonball will forcefully move your cards out of a location, and if he can't, he'll replace that card with a rock. So essentially what it did was, even if your other lanes weren't full, if you had a Mercury, if there was a Mercury area where you were, and they played Cannonball against you, well, they just pretty much won that lane, essentially. And that was really annoying, let's be real. So so I just managed to eke out away from the Cannonball Mercury meta. Just very barely. I did run into a few of those decks, and when I recognized them, I just kind of didn't want to deal with them. I just ran away, retreated, but not. I did not run into them often, but I see them growing. I see the use of them growing really steadily, right? But anyway, so that is our agenda today, or it would be, except last night on the Pokemon Legends Arceus stream, I said that there was a game announced during last week that I was super excited to talk about, and it was more of a game that was fitting to be talked about during this stream. So, if you guys shall indulge me, the game I want to talk about, the game that was what blew my mind mostly, was this one. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. I mean, dang. Just look at this. So, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls is a 4v4 fighting game based or tag team fighting based game. So you got 4 versus 4, and it's like it's wild. Like last time there was a Marvel tag team fighter was Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, and that game did not do well. So now the developers Arc System Works is working with PlayStation Studio and Marvel to make their own tag team fighter. And we know 8 of the characters, and it just genuinely looks so fun, guys. It just looks so nuts. I'm not sure if I can play this audio. I'm not sure if it's copyrighted or anything, so I'll just go ahead. But look at this. Look how nuts this is. Yeah, you got Miss Marvel, you got Spider-Man, Iron Man. Iron Man looks like a goddamn Gundam Sentai hero. That's so freaking cool. Ooh. This is so awesome. This is exciting. Star-Lord's there. Mm. And then we got Robbie Reyes and Doctor Doom. And then probably the queen of Marvel tag team fighters, Storm, right there. So, that's mainly what I want to discuss with all of you. And, you know, how awesome this looks. So, overview. PlayStation Studios, Arc System Works, and Marvel Games have joined forces to realize the latest tag team fighters in Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. Experience the Marvel Universe like never before with reimagined characters and stages, a heart-pounding soundtrack, intuitive gameplay mechanics, and jaw-dropping visuals that will keep you on the edge of your seat. And it's coming out in 2026. So, it's absolute cinema. Like, look at some of these shots. Look at Star-Lord that looks cool. Storm looks Well, Storm looks like Storm. She's always epic. And then there goes Robbie Reyes going crazy. Oh, man. It just takes me back to the old Marvel vs. Capcom days. It blows my mind that this was actually made. So, what does this have to do with Marvel Snap aside from the same properties? Well, what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about what characters could be in Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. What can we expect from the game? What can we what can we realistically look forward to? And what can we hope for, you know, in terms of cope? But first, why don't we go ahead and check out some of these variants? Oh yeah, I forgot about the Alliance Awards, okay? Yeah. Okay, so we got the Shop Awards. Oh, ooh, look at that. Okay, so this was my shop award. It's Black Widow. Realistic Black Widow. Okay, that's nice. And then Alliance Awards. Let's see what we got, okay? So, what we got? Credits. Order and... Oh, Negative Space Thanos. You know, not my favorite, but, you know, it's better than nothing. I really like it. I mean, you know, it's not... I mean, I don't really like it, but I like it. I'm sure people don't like the Negative Space cards, but I think they're fine looking. I mean, I don't think they're the best looking cards out there, but no, I think they're fine looking. Okay, and there you go. Alright. No, while we're on this streak, why don't we go ahead and open another mystery variant, right? Let's go ahead and open this one. Yeah. See, these are the kinds of variants that I would kind of hold back on. Not a fan of the pixel cable. And why don't we go ahead and open these two? So that's 5 variants for us, okay? So that's nice, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and then have Angela. You know, I mean, maybe I would use this if I didn't already get that Angela from last week. But hey, I just need to have, I guess. And now, finally, what we got here? We have Demon form Mr. Negative. Hmm. I have a lot of Mr. Negative variants, and by a lot I mean like three now, which I guess is a lot in terms of variants, but you know. Alright. Let me just go ahead and look at this album. Ooh, we got Black Panther. That isn't that cool. And then we need to look at some of these. Yep, that certainly is Black Widow. No, I might change that out. There we go. Yeah, that's not bad looking, I guess. Yeah, you know what? I'm fine with that. That's pretty neat, right? All right. So we got Black Widow, Thanos, Cable, Angela, and Mr. Negative. Isn't that a lineup, huh? Okay. Like if I had to rate them, like I think Black Widow is definitely the best one of all these. And then maybe Angela, then Thanos, Mr. Negative, and Cable. Like I think Mr. Negative looks fine-ish, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the coloring. Like it looks pretty boring to me. Anyway, anyway, now, now, in terms of Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, who do we expect to be in the game? Well, I mean, you gotta need the big guys. You need the heavy hitters. What you need is Hulk. Now, obviously, Hulk, he's a big bruiser guy. He likes punching things. He likes smashing things. That's his whole deal. Now, there's this idea that maybe Hulk will be a grappler. Something like Zangief in Street Fighter. But I'll be real with you. I don't think Hulk is a grappler. I think Hulk is nothing but a big, bulking bruiser type guy, like he is in Marvel vs. Capcom. Like he's not a grappler in those games. He has grapple moves, but he's not a grappler. Now, why do I say this? Well, because while Hulk can grab you and he can smash you on the ground, like he just loves punching things, right? So that's what really makes me think that he's not going to be a like the big bulking guy or grappling guy that people expect him to be in Tokon Fighting Souls. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe they want to steer clear from Marvel vs. Capcom Hulk, which could totally cool with that. But to me, Hulk was never someone to like just squeeze the life out of someone. Hulk was just someone to beat the living life out of someone, which means he just will not he won't have like those kinds of setups, you know. But yeah, but anyway, I definitely think Hulk will be that that kind of character. But he's of course not isn't confirmed. We only have 8 confirmed characters for this game right now, and they have interesting play styles that you can you can't quite pin down because Arc System works. While they do follow some formulas, like they know how to make their characters unique. They do. But in terms of like other characters that are pretty much necessary for the game, you can't have it's almost like you can't have a fighting game, a Marvel fighting game without Thor now. Like Thor is just one of the big three. You can't have him. Hello, Avi. Thank you for joining us. But right now we're talking about Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. So we are talking about this new game that was revealed over the past week. So if you don't know, I'm a big Marvel vs. Capcom fan. I love Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I enjoyed Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and I and I and I appreciate the older stuff like Marvel vs. Capcom, MVC2, Marvel Superheroes, those kinds of games. And so, if you don't know what this game is, it's basically just a big tag team fighter with 4v4 fighting mechanics. So let me just show you here. I can't I don't think I can play the audio quite right now, but as you can see, you got Iron Man, you got Captain America, and then in the surprise twist, you got Miss Marvel right there. So you cross over, you got Spidey right there, and it just looks like a fun time because it's made by Arc System Works, the same guys who did Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, and yeah, Dragon Ball Fighters. Some of the best fighting games of the modern era right now. And with with the latter game, uh, Dragon Ball Fighters, they proved that they can make tag team based fighters, which they did in like Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle and like other tag team fighters. But it was Dragon Ball Fighters that really made them stick out. It really made them, who they are in terms of like a pop cultural phenomenon. Because, everyone knows what Dragon Ball Z is, right? So there you have Storm and Doctor Doom, which I think this was deliberate in particular. So, so to give a little context, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was the very last Marvel vs. Capcom game, and it was in the midst of the release of Infinity War, the MCU movie. And so there was a lot of influence from the MCU movies when that game was released. And the properties that were not available during that release were the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, who are staple franchises from in past Marvel vs. Capcom games. So unfortunately, none of the X-Men nor Fantastic Four characters were available for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, even though they were highly, highly requested by everyone. So that's it. So they were kind of just in a limbo at that point, those characters. So should a new Marvel vs. Capcom come about, we would have no idea if any of the X-Men or Fantastic Four would make any appearance in the next games. But now, with Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, we have Storm and Doctor Doom shown in as the last two characters revealed for this trailer. So that's a big deal. That is a big deal for Marvel fighting fans because, of course, these are some beloved characters, and now this just opens the way for like who anyone can be in here, not just villains or restricted franchise heroes, but just anyone. Because if you know anything about fighting games, then you know that they are weird and wacky as much as they are brutal and fun. So yeah, so like in last in previous installments of Marvel vs. Capcom, you could play as freaking Modoc. Modoc, the big round Humpty Dumpty guy who's just kind of a silly boy, except he's like kind of a genocidal maniac. But yeah. Or you could also play as Shuma Gorath, the tentacle squid monster from Doctor Strange, and like that's just kind of nuts. But yeah, so I'm speculating on what characters will be shown or will be playable in Marvel Dokkan Fighting Souls. So I talked about Hulk, and I think I think Thor is kind of a no-brainer, right? Thor, you just need, he's one of the biggest heavy hitters in Marvel. He's got the big hammer, the lightning powers. He's pretty much God, and like he's just you can't just you just can't exclude Thor. It'd be weird if they did. Now, as in terms of his playing style, I would assume that he would also be somewhat of a heavy hitter, but no, he has lightning powers, so he could use projectiles such as that. Um, and yes, I don't know. Like I enjoy Thor in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, but he's just kind of he's there. I mean he's definitely important. He's a definitely important character, but who knows? I'm like 95% sure that he'll be in this game though. I am. I am. All right. So next, next, what we got? Well, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say Magneto. I think Magneto is a pretty solid idea of a character for the game. I think Magneto could definitely fit in well. Like he has the big magnet powers. He got that aura about him. He's just big and bulky and well, I don't want to like keep saying that. I don't want to keep comparing them to their like Marvel versus Capcom counterparts because you know they're two completely different games. They gotta be working with different like ideas and different directions. But I think Magneto will be a pretty solid addition to the roster. So he's he's hmm. Well, if I had to describe him, aside from being like one of the big bads, he's also like he also has what do you call it? Uh, a lot of potential in terms of like the environment, right? So as you saw in the trailer, there was some stage transitions. When the characters would knock back the other characters into like, and then they would go to different parts of the stage. That's actually pretty difficult for how our system works. I think what Magneto could do is actually maybe make that easier to happen. He just pulls parts of the stage closer to him and move it, or some that's maybe this is a terrible idea now that I think about it actually. But you get what I mean. Like he using his magnetic powers, he can just definitely control a lot of the environment around him. So and you could say he may be somewhat of a trapper character. That's not a bad idea, I guess. But yeah, I think Magneto is a solid choice for this game. Okay, all right. What else are we thinking? Well, hold on. Okay, in terms of the other X-Men, there's no way you don't go with Wolverine. Wolverine is pretty much the poster child of Marvel vs. Capcom. And while this is not Marvel vs. Capcom, he's like he's still really popular. And that it'd be weird to not include him. Granted, I don't think it's impossible to not include him. And like they could definitely exclude him. But to exclude Wolverine after the Storm hype, that'd be weird, right? So I definitely think they have some sort of idea of what Wolverine could be, like some sort of feral character. Like I want him to be like ravenous. I want him to be like the claws out, like ready to take blood, that kind of thing. Like he's not savage, but definitely brutal enough to make sure that people remember his impact on the game. You know, not like in Marvel vs. Capcom. Which again I don't want to keep bringing up, but it's kind of easy pickings right there. But in Marvel vs. Capcom, he's really easy to he's really easy to pick up and play. So I think he could be like a character that he can that again you can pick up and play, and alongside that, he just does numbers on you. He just does damage. On the reverse side, he's also a glass cannon. He can also be pretty easy to take down, which is ironic because he has a healing factor, which again I think you could work in to a move set. Like maybe like I don't say heal him over time. That'd be kind of maybe broken. I don't know, but give him some sort of like protections, like get him like weapon X install or something like that, which I think they did in Marvel vs. Capcom. Actually, now that I think about it, hmm. But yeah, Um, but yeah, I'm thinking Wolverine would be pretty sick in this game. Um, all right, all right. Now, who who else are we thinking? Um, well, if I had to be frank, I want to think. I think Ben Grimm is maybe a perfect fit. I think he could be a pretty good counterpart to the Hulk. I think he could be like, you know, like Hulk could be a big, bulking guy who hits hard, but is maybe kind of slow, but thinks he's smaller. He hits lighter, but he can also like be a grappler or something like that. Maybe he could be the grappler, huh? I think that's a pretty solid idea. Rock solid, if you will. Ha ha ha. Anyway, but yeah, of course there are the other Fantastic Four to consider, like Johnny, Sue, and Reed. But Miss Marvel is already in the game, so maybe Reed will be relegated to some other role, and then Johnny. Again, I don't know how they would work him with him. I mean, it's pretty easy, but it's so easy that how do you get creative with that? I'm sure they can. I'm sure they can. And then this Invisible Woman is well, I can't think of a moveset for her, but that's kind of why I'm not a game dev. But yeah, um, but yeah, I think Ben could really fit into the game. I think he can really punch and grab hard. Like it's just, I mean, that's just my thoughts. I don't know what they could do with him aside from being like a Hulk alternative. Maybe make his moveset a little more complex compared to the Hulk's. I don't know, but I think he has a shot. I do. I really do. All right. Okay. So, and then if I really think about it, Blade, Blade. Like obviously, come on. I mean, Blade. Not only is he badass as heck, he's got a sword. If we need any sword fighter in this game, it's gotta be Blade. Like that's kind of a no brainer, right? Like and yeah, oh, man, I don't I don't know how they do it, but make his vampire powers a part of it, and just go wild on everyone using his sword and his guns. Oh my god, he could be a Dante character. Oh my god, Blake could be a Dante character. Just using his weapons to slay the knights and all that. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, I think uh yeah, Blake could be a pretty solid addition to the roster. So in terms of what Blake could do, he aside from being a Dante character and his vampire powers, I think he could also be a pretty like so in terms of fighting games, there are a lot of easy characters and there are more challenging characters to master. Blake could be one of those high risk, high reward characters where he doesn't have a lot of health, but he does input a lot of fast damage, and and he has a lot of interesting combo strings. And he you have to work with him a bit, but he would be a solid contender for being like one of those characters who can just knock everything out of the park once you master him. That's the kind of impression I get from Blade. But yeah, Blade, like I would give Blade like maybe an 85% chance of coming into the game. Maybe. If if Japan's even familiar with Blade, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Because so far, the characters in the game. Sup, Andy? Thanks for coming. We're talking about um, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, the new fighting game that was revealed over the past week, and what I think some characters should be in the game. And right now, I'm talking about Blade. And what was I talking about actually? Um, um, but yeah, I think Blade, it could just be one of those characters who just who who yeah, what was I thinking? Yeah, he's just a character who just knows you have to master him to really get him right. But once you do, he's like he could be really competitive and really solid, right? But but who else are we thinking? Well, if I may, so Marvel vs. Capcom has a lot of weirdo characters in addition to the solid characters like in addition to like Captain America and Iron Man, they also had MODOK, Shuma-Gorath. Rocket Raccoon was at one point considered that, and now Rocket Raccoon like is a staple character in the MCU and all that. But but yeah, at one point Rocket Raccoon was considered kind of this joke-ish character before he became like a household name. So, oh yeah, I agree. I agree, Dave. Sorry, Andy. Yeah. Since it's going to be a 4v4 fighting game, I think the roster is going to be pretty big, like in terms of numbers. Like it's gotta be like at the end of the lifespan of the game, it's gotta be like maybe in the 40s, maybe the 50s, because it takes a long time to develop characters and it takes a long time to make like the marketing behind it and all that kind of stuff. So it does take time. But for a 4v4 game, like you gotta have a large roster if you wanted to pander to all those kinds of like tag team like fighting styles and mechanics and all that. So yeah. But right now, all we can do is speculate. But I'm very excited for the game. Now, as I was saying, we have a lot. There's a potential for a lot of weirdo characters. So what's the weirdo character I would think of? Well, he's not a galactic threat, but he is a space traveler. I think if I can find him, where am I? Where? I think Howard the Duck could be a pretty fun character. I think Howard the Duck could be a pretty fun, goofy, whack ass character. Not top tier, not the best at the game, but I think he could pull out some nonsense out of that bill of his. Now, my reasoning behind this is that not only is he a wacky character, but I think since Marvel is owned by Disney, I think they're okay with Howard being used in more of their properties. Uh, if you guys don't know, Howard was a parody of Donald Duck, and then they got Disney kind of mad about that, so they made Howard wear pants. But yeah, but I think Howard the Duck could be a pretty funny character. He pulls out his just pulls out like a revolver, just shoot the guys, shoot the shoot Iron Man with his giant armor on him, and then just he just pulls a revolver on them. He pulls a Glock on him. Um, of course, I can't really think of anything else that could happen with Howard because Howard is more of a smart investigative character, rather than a fighter. But a man can dream. Um, yeah, Andy, you're right. The eight were revealed in the trailer. It was Captain America, Iron Man, Miss Marvel, Spider Man, Star Lord, Ghost Rider, Doctor Doom, and Storm, as I recall, which are pretty big deals, especially the latter two. But yeah, all right. Uh, who else? Who else would be a pretty good fit for this game, or quote unquote fit for this game? Um, well, again, you're gonna need some like solid characters and like some mainstays not from the MCU, but just in general, like some of Marvel's biggest characters. So who am I thinking? Uh, you know what? I could see Vision in it. I could see Vision in a fighting game. Yeah, he could phase through enemies, like that could be somewhat of a teleport or dash, and like that could be pretty unique to him. He has the Mind Stone in him, so he could like use it as like some sort of manipulating factor. Just hypnotize or like reverse control. Oh my god, if he reverse controls, that'd be annoying. God, I take that back. Don't give him that if he's in the game. But yeah, it's Star-Lord. Oh yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Star-Lord was in that in the reveal. Yeah, but yeah. Um, let's see. But yeah, Vision. I mean, I think he's pretty solid, and well, I mean, solid quote unquote. I mean, he does have a lot of phasing mechanics, but yeah, in terms. Oh, dude, I just thought Vision is also he's also a robot, and Japan loves their robots. They love their mechs and their giant freaking robots like they did with Iron Man. So so I think they could do really creative visually with Vision. Dang. But yeah. Okay, so on a personal level, on this is my personal want for the game. My very favorite X-Men, Jubilee. I think Jubilee has needs her time in the sun. I really do. She's a '90s icon, especially for the X-Men. She's Japanese, so I'm sure I'm sure the developers would love to put her in. Um, but man, yes, I do have a lot of Jubilee variants. This one you had to buy, so yeah, I love Jubilee. But but here's the thing: Jubilee has made an appearance in Marvel vs. Capcom before as an assist. She was an assist character in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, and she was not that good. She was unfortunately one of the weaker assists you could get. Well, more like on the lower ends. She wasn't the weakest or the weaker, but she definitely wasn't one that you would choose. But yeah, aside from that, she wasn't really seen in any capacity of Marvel vs. Capcom, aside from maybe a cameo from here and there. But I think Jubilee needs her time. I think Jubilee needs. I don't know. There's just there's just always some. There's always first off, her style pretty solid. Yellow raincoat with pink on there, always sporting glasses. Plus, she pretty much makes fireworks, so there's like the it's pretty. God, is she's